is just getting ridiculous. You all in this Facebook, and this instead of laying down in the bed with no protection, we wouldn't be here. But now, you all want to talk about Facebook all day.
This is a small town. Everybody knows who drives what. This particular person I know stayed with her a week.
Really? And you know who this guy is?
One of my cousins.
Oh, did your cousin tell you that he slept with her?
Yeah, we done gave each other daps and everything.
Oh boy, this one kicks off with a wild mystery. Ms. Smith is here because she's got no clue who the dad of her 4-month-old son is. It's either her ex or her fiance. Judge Lake's here to help, but you can bet this one's gonna get messy before it's clear.
Ms. Smith, you are here in court today because you claim a miscalculation during your pregnancy has left you unsure about the paternity of your 4-month-old son, Lamontre. Now today you hope to determine whether your ex-boyfriend, offended Mr. Brooker, fathered your child.
Here's where the story takes a big twist. And now, nobody knows who the dad is, Mr. Brooker or the ex, and things are about to get even juicier.
When me and my ex-boyfriend ended up breaking up, I talked to Lamontre and I invited him to my birthday party a few days after we had sex. Once that happened, I was like really starting to like him and be interested, felt like sick, so I decided to take a pregnancy test.
Okay.
And so it came back positive.
Wait till you hear this. Mr. Brooker's already attached to the baby. Plus, he and Ms. Smith are engaged and planning a wedding, so he's in deep already. But the results of the DNA test could still flip his world.
Have you all started doing father and son things and beautiful, so you have a bond with this little boy?
Yes,
he has your name. You all are engaged.
Yes, ma'am. We plan on getting married September.
If you thought one doctor's opinion was enough, think again. Ms. Smith saw 3 doctors, and each one told her something different. So, 3 doctors, 3 guesses, and a whole lot more questions. This mystery just keeps growing.
3 different doctors I went to, and they told me, well, yeah, you're about 8 or 9 weeks pregnant, and they did it by the chart. So that led back to that next week I went and I got a blood test done, and they said that just about the same thing, 8 or 9 weeks, and my due date.
And just when we think it can't get wilder, Miss Mr. Indy Sam Sufrem says her baby arrived early, 2 whole months early. Things are so up in the air that they've called in a doctor for backup.
He was born premature. He was born 2 months early because I have an incompetent cervix, so that kind of prevents me from holding the child inside, so they have to do a surgery.
A month early based upon the first 2 appointments.
Exactly.
Enter Dr. Gator, a family medicine expert who's here to break down the madness. The audience feels some relief, but there's no official word yet, and this case isn't over.
It actually happens more often than you would think. Miss Smith's first visit, she basically was given a potential due date of April the 9th, her last menstrual period of July the 3rd. However, as she testified, so when you're basing it off that information, it can be very inaccurate.
Despite all the drama, Mr. Brooker steps up like a champ. But with the test results looming, everyone's on the edge, wondering if this love will hold up once the truth is revealed.
I had doubts, I did, but at the same time, like I told her, through the time we were together, I actually ended up falling in love with her. Regardless whether the result came out of the baby was to be mine or not, I was gonna be there. I even gave her my name.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And here's where things go, from wild to just plain. Did he really do that? Mr. Brooker, itching to find out if he's the dad, takes an at-home DNA test on the baby when the kid is just 2 days old and still in the NICU. But hang tight, because the official DNA test is about to shake things up.
I took it there to the hospital.
So your cousin brought an at-home DNA test.
Yes, ma'am.
But the baby wasn't at home yet, right?
No,
He was still in the
He was
hospital.
still in the hospital. He was in the NIC, and I swabbed him like the first.
In the NIC unit?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
This is the moment everyone's waiting for. Cue the suspense.
Mr. Brooker, you are not his father.
All right, this is one wild case full of jaw-dropping moments. This is just the start of a whole messy, emotional roller coaster, so get ready to be hooked.
Ms. Mitchell, you are here in the court today because you claim your childhood sweetheart stole your virginity, got you pregnant, and is now denying paternity of your 2-month-old daughter, Riley.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Mitchell doesn't hold back as she spills how it all went down, and it's a lot. The judge has questions, and Mr. Robinson fesses up to not using protection, which the judge calls a recipe for baby making. And if you think that's intense, wait until you hear what Mr. Robinson has to say next.
We hooked up, had sex, I lost my virginity, and I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks later.
No, Your Honor. We hooked up.
That's about all you need
Yeah,
is one
that's
time.
about-
One time. Did you use protection?
No.
That's a recipe for,
Disaster.
well, no, for baby making.
Mr. Robinson cranks up the drama, saying he has doubts about being the dad because he got some juicy gossip. The judge tries to make sense of it, pointing out that all these doubts started because of Facebook gossip. Who knew that social media would cause this much trouble.
You start getting messages
Yes,
from
Your
the peanut gallery
From her best friend, Your Honor.
telling you they just want to give
not
you the
true.
heads up that she was sleeping with other people.
Yes, Your
so
Honor.
that you don't think you're necessarily the only potential candidate.
If this wasn't already a soap opera, it takes a wild twist here. With everyone bickering over timelines and alibis, the tension is skyrocketing and things are only going to heat up more.
Is Mr. Robinson with you?
No, but his sister.
Because I
You
had got arrested the night of, I'm not going to lie, I'll be 100% honest with you, Your Honor. So I said, Erica, I said, will you do me a favor? She said, what, bub? I said, will you make sure you go to the hospital for me?
And so she went.
Yeah,
And
when
she
she
went.
came up, she said that she tried to get Ryan to come, but
If you thought things couldn't get more ridiculous, the whole room starts arguing over, you guessed it, Facebook drama. The judge's frustration is real, and the drama is still spiraling.
Who cares? This is just getting ridiculous. You all in this Facebook, and this instead of laying down in the bed with no protection, we wouldn't be here. But now, you all want to talk about Facebook all day. You all to understand that beautiful
Your Honor, I
little girl
take
is
care
what
of
matters.
her. This is a beautiful baby, and it is about her, and that is why we're here today.
This is where things get weirdly emotional, with Mr. Robinson pouring his heart out about wanting to be Ryland's dad. Now the judge wants to see if there's any family resemblance, and you can feel the tension in the air.
And pray to God on everything that I love. I have not known my father for 20 years. I don't want Ryland to grow up like that. If she is mine, by all means, I want to give her everything.
He won't let us.
She
She's
will not let me.
drama.
The
They
only
haven't
way
tried.
he told me that I could see Ryland is
As
if
if
I
he
came
left
by
me.
my safe.
Mr. Robinson isn't letting this go and claims that he and Ryland don't look alike. He even brought photos to prove it. The judge is now ready to move on to the money talk, and things get tense as childcare expenses are brought up.
Now this picture,
Is of me and our three kids, which two of them are biologically not mine. Look at me, and they call me father. They am a good father.
He is a good father.
Yeah.
Not just the one that's his, but all three of them, he's been there
so
for.
Miss, hold on.
And here comes the money talk, where Ms. Mitchell is asking for help with all the baby expenses. Mr. Robinson says he's ready to provide, but now it's finally time for the DNA results.
You would indeed owe her half of those child care expenses,
Yes.
but I cannot rule on that claim until we know the results.
Ryland anything. Like I
Good,
said,
that's what I wanted to hear you. She is your biological child. You are responsible.
The moment we've all been waiting for, DNA results.
Mr. Robinson, you are the father.
Okay, get ready because this story is already wild from the start. Judge Lake is trying to sort this all out, but honestly, it sounds like the beginning of a soap opera. And believe it or not, things are about to get even messier.
Ms. Johnson, you claim you have no doubts whatsoever that Mr. Lewis is the father of your 6-month-old daughter, Josiah. You say the only reason he doubts paternity is because he heard false rumors.
If you thought things couldn't get crazier, here's where it all speeds up. Mr. Lewis can't help but wonder about the timing. And let's be real, it does sound like the timeline needs its own detective. And believe me, this story's just getting juicier.
Well, it all started, me and Mr. Lewis was friends back in middle school, and then we stopped talking for a while, and then we met up again through Facebook. I had broke up with my ex, and then me and Mr. Lewis started dating in March 2013, and I found out that I was pregnant in April. That's how the whole story went.
Mr. Lewis's reaction is a serious mix of shock, excitement, and maybe a little freak out. Just when everyone starts settling into the idea, a huge wrench gets thrown into the mix from the family.
When she first told me, I was excited. I actually broke down crying and tell my mom because I ain't know how I be, because I ain't have my dad, and I ain't want no kid growing up like I did.
When you got this news, your son says he burst out crying and told his mother. How did you feel?
Well, I first found out through Miss Johnson. That's how I first found out that she was pregnant.
So you found out from Miss Johnson?
Yeah.
If you thought family gatherings were tough, wait until you hear this. So naturally, Ms. Lewis's trust is fading. And at this point, it's basically a game of who's the daddy. The whole thing has everyone's head spinning, and it's only getting wilder from here.
When did the doubt come in?
The doubt came in when I spoke with one of Miss Johnson's family members. That's when the doubt came in.
From her family member?
She had told me that my son could be the father, and she also said there could be others that could be the father.
Others, plural?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson decided not to tell Mr. Lewis when she had the baby. Her reason? She felt like he didn't trust her anyway, so why bother? Ms. Johnson stands by her choice, but you can tell everyone in the courtroom is on edge, waiting to see where this will go next.
After she had the baby, he found out through the relative that she had the baby. She had already had the baby maybe 3 days when we found out.
Why is it you didn't tell him when the baby was coming?
Because he was believing everybody else that the baby wasn't his, so I told him that it wasn't his.
This is where things spill over onto social media, because of course this internet drama is just adding fuel to the fire. And honestly, if social media wasn't messy enough already, this just took it to a whole new level.
I made a status on a social network. The ex contacted me. It was something like in reference of my son, finding out that he's a father, to now finding out that he may not father, it could be somebody else's. So the ex saw my status and sent me a message. Come to find out, I know the ex, because he's a friend of my godson's.
And now the ex is in the mix, claiming he's actually the dad. Things are spinning out of control. If you think this sounds confusing, just wait. It's about to get even more unbelievable.
Ms. Johnson, did you tell your ex that
One of my relatives told my ex that he was the father.
Your relatives, but you never personally?
I always told Mr. Lewis that he was.
But did you tell your ex that he was as well?
No, I didn't.
They were living together as of a couple of months ago.
Mr. Lewis was secretly listening to a phone call between Ms. Johnson and her ex, and he heard some shocking stuff. Just when you thought you'd heard it all, there's another layer to this chaotic story.
One day, I think it was in March, we had a three-way conversation. She didn't know I was on the phone, and I actually heard her. He asked her who the father between me and Derek, and I heard her say, I don't know.
You were on the phone.
Yes, she had me on mute.
You're just listening in, and Miss Johnson didn't know you were on the phone.
Yes.
And the ex was on the phone.
Yes.
So this is a three-way call.
Yes.
Judge Lake is digging in now. Like, okay, so do you actually know who the father is? Ms. Johnson looks at her, saying Josiah looks like Mr. Lewis. But when Judge Lake asks her to think about dates and timelines, Ms. Johnson starts to seem unsure. It's a game of could it be? Everyone holding their breath.
Is it a possibility that either man could be her father?
Well, the possibility is Mr. Lewis. He could be the father.
So, I have to understand, why would this ex-boyfriend, even if your family told him something, Lewis is the father of this child, it is not your child, why would he take it upon himself?
Finally, the big moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA results are here.
Pertaining to 6-month-old Josiah Johnson. Mr. Lewis, you are Josiah's father.
This whole case kicks off with some serious drama. It's like a soap opera that you can't look away from. The big question, who's the dad of her baby, Michaela? Things are just heating up, so keep watching.
Ms. Whitman, the man you claim you love is standing in our courtroom hallway, but you confess you cheated on him with the defendant.
That's right, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Anderson. So today you're here to determine the paternity of your 1-month-old daughter, Michaela, in hope of saving your relationship.
This relationship story is a little bananas. It sounds like something straight out of a TV show. She swears it wasn't serious. But honestly, it sounds like a total mess. You won't believe what she says next.
Well, me and Miss Mitchell met at a bus station when I was coming from Chicago to Arkansas. We kind of like kicked it off quick and became girlfriend and boyfriend. And 2 months into relationship, I met Mr. Anderson. And we were pretty much like friends. And because I thought Mr. Mitchell was cheating, I kind of went to him and we were texting.
Here's where Mr. Anderson drops a bombshell that gets everyone in the room gasping. Ms. Whitman totally denies it, saying he just bought her a bed and visited. If you think that's wild, just wait. This is only the beginning.
This is a small town. Everybody knows who drives what. This particular person I know stayed with her a week.
Really? And you know who this guy is?
One of my cousins.
Oh, did your cousin tell you that he slept with her?
Yeah, we done gave each other daps and everything.
Announcing a pregnancy on Facebook? Yep, that's what happened, and it's as chaotic as it sounds. As if the drama wasn't enough, you can practically see the tension rising.
Well, actually, Facebook, my baby mama, she didn't even call.
I sent you the picture of the pregnancy test.
And you sent it to Mr. Anderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you send it to anybody else?
I sent it to Mitch too through Facebook.
Mr. Maps?
Yes, Mr. Maps.
Was he excited about the pregnancy?
Yes, he was very excited. And then like maybe 2 weeks later, I told him that it could be someone else.
This part is both sad and awkward. Honestly, it's tough to watch. Even Mr. Anderson blocked her on social media. It's messy, and you can feel the frustration building as the story unravels.
He even stopped talking to me, and I couldn't get a hold of Mr. Anderson because he blocked all communications, Facebook, and he stopped answering the phone for me, Mr. Maps.
The reason I blocked her off because of the stuff she was doing on Facebook.
I've never put on Facebook that you're my baby daddy.
Asked me, even my baby mama, my girl I'm with. I ain't with her now because that's destroyed.
Just when you think this situation situation couldn't get weirder, they start arguing about who should pay for the DNA test. It's a hilarious yet tense argument, and you can tell no one is thrilled about shelling out cash. Hold tight, things only get crazier from here.
He wanted me to pay half of DNA test. Mr. Mapson also wanted me to pay half. I wasn't finna pay half for both people.
Wait a minute. She done gone half on the baby and won't go half on the DNA test. Now that doesn't make no sense. Your daughter, Michaela, has a right to know. Now that Michaela is here, has anyone bonded with her? Either of you two gentlemen? You have, Mr. Mapson.
Things go from crazy to heartbreaking when Mr. Anderson breaks down in court, letting everyone know how much this situation has messed with his life. It's a sad moment, but don't get too comfortable. More twists are on the way.
Feel emotional right now, Mr. Anderson. What do you feel?
I've been through so much. Y'all don't know what I went through before I got here.
What are you feeling now?
I'm feeling pain.
Because this situation really bothers you.
This situation has affected my life, you know. My baby mama texting all the time talking about this situation. Well, getting to it, she called police on me. I had to get my stuff, get out.
And now, folks, the truth finally starts to come out, and it's juicier than ever. Judge Lake is clearly not buying it, and the tension ramps up as we get closer to the DNA results. This courtroom just keeps getting hotter.
Is there any chance that neither one of these gentlemen is the father of your child?
No, Your Honor, there's no chance that anybody else could be the father.
So you are positive?
Yes, Your Honor.
That there is absolutely no other possibility, no other man besides these two could be the father of your child?
That's right, Your Honor.
All right, here comes the moment of truth, the part everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Anderson, you are not her father.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I knew it. I knew it.
Wow, talk about starting off with a bang. The judge gets right into the case, saying Miss Adams is here because her son might actually go to jail over unpaid child support. And we're just getting started with all the drama.
Now, your son, Mr. Adams, is joining us via satellite from Flint, Michigan. And you claim he's on the verge of being arrested for back child support. And you're both with us today to prove he's not the father of the defendant's 3-year-old son in an effort to keep him out of jail.
Miss Williams wastes no time stirring the pot, claiming Mr. Adams is definitely her kid's father and saying he's in trouble because he didn't step up to be a dad. This courtroom showdown is about to hit new levels of tension.
Ms. Williams, you say Mr. Adams is indeed your baby's biological father, and you argue his legal issues are his own fault because he never stepped up for his son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Adams drops a bombshell of his own, saying there was never any real relationship with Miss Williams, just some casual fun. It's safe to say he's not about to admit to anything serious, but Miss Williams might have more to say.
No, I really wouldn't call it no relationship. You know, I met her at a house party. She tried to have sex with me on the first date, so that was a judge of character right there.
But you weren't in a committed relationship.
Miss Williams really shocks the court when she casually admits she was with other guys around the time her kid was conceived. Things are getting juicy, and everyone's waiting to hear about this DNA test they keep bringing up.
I mean, no, when we was young at the time, we hooked on and off, and you know, it just.
So it was just an on and off thing.
Yeah, it was just.
Wasn't committed during that time. Were you also sleeping with other men as well?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Without using protection?
Yes.
Miss Williams gets emotional, defending her decisions and saying she really did think her ex was the dad at first. It's clear this situation is getting more intense, and the money issues are far from over.
I wasn't 9 months pregnant. I was still in the middle of pregnancy, and that's when I told you when I was with my ex, and I thought at the time, because I was still messing with my ex, that's what the agreement was between me and my ex at the time.
But you understand why this could then make her doubtful?
Yes, I do.
The plot thickens when Mr. Adams explains that he started receiving bills for child support out of the blue. With every twist, it feels like the court's patience and Mr. Adams's wallet is running thin.
At the beginning of this year, I started receiving paperwork telling me that I had to make payments of $99 per month for a child that I haven't even been tested for yet.
Never appeared and she left
I'm about
town.
to keep going through this with you. I told you
I have papers right here, Your Honor.
Things get pretty wild here as Mr. Adams reveals he ended up in jail over this whole child support fiasco. This is one tangled up case, and the emotions are about to run even higher.
Police just ran our names, so I gave them my name proud, like, you know, I'm Lassiter Adams. You know, I ain't think I had no warrant. Come to find out, he come back to me like, oh, Mr. Adams, you got a warrant for child support. I'm like, what?
And how much time did you serve for this?
Like 10 days.
Mr. Adams isn't holding back, saying he feels no connection to the child everyone's claiming might be his. But the judge has a serious message coming his way, and Mr. Adams better be ready.
Baby John, do you see yourself?
I mean, honestly, no, Your Honor, because, you know, I spent time around this child. If he was really my son, you know, I think we had that bond, that connection.
You felt nothing?
Honestly, no.
The judge drops a heavy dose of reality on Mr. Adams, warning him that ignoring court orders isn't a game and could land him back in jail. And now, after all this chaos, the moment of truth with the DNA results is here.
What I want you to learn from this lesson is when the court calls, you got to answer. Because of your irresponsibility, you've created a situation where you might go to jail if this child turns out to be yours.
All eyes are on the judge as she reads the DNA results, and the courtroom holds its breath.
It has been determined that Mr. Adams is not the father.
Take me off child support, baby.
Wow, this is going to be a wild ride from the start. You can already feel the tension in the air, and it's only just begun.
Mr. Patrick, you say 5 years ago you made a huge mistake by opening your doors to a stranger who needed a place to stay because that man betrayed you and slept with your girlfriend, Ms. Pence.
Things get crazier when Mr. Patrick shares the story of the night Ms. Pence vanished. The audience is in shock, and Mr. Patrick's suspicions are sky high. But this story's far from over.
You know, time goes on. Me and her sat around and had a few drinks, sitting at home enjoying ourselves. And she up and leaves and goes across the street to the neighbor. 10:30 runs around, no Miss Pence. 2, 3 o'clock comes around, still no Miss Pence. Well, she doesn't show up until the next day, about 10:30 in the morning.
Really?
And her hair's a wreck. She looked like she went through a hurricane or something.
Miss Pence, you got missing overnight?
I did, Your Honor.
And here comes the confession. Ms. Pence says she slept with the guy, but hey, it was just a one-time thing. Mr. Patrick's trust is hanging by a thread, and we all know things are about to heat up even more.
I had told him that I had slept with the gentleman that had been staying with us. It was just the one time. It never happened again after that. He still seems to believe that it happened more than the one time, Your Honor.
So you hadn't slept with him when he was living there?
No, Your Honor.
If you thought it couldn't get weirder, here comes Ms. Pence's reason for cheating. She says it's because Mr. Patrick kept accusing her of it. It's a classic case of if you keep saying it, I'll just go do it, and we're all left wondering what happens next.
Larry had continuously, from day one, accused me of cheating constantly.
Mr. Patrick.
I had never slept with anyone else before that night. I had constantly, that's how I was brought up. I'm constantly calling people honey and babe. That's just, I'm from the South. That's how I was raised. It has nothing to do with that. I never slept with anyone before that.
Things get extra dramatic when Ms. Pence pulls out a calendar to prove Mr. Patrick is the dad. But hey, if there's a 5-day question mark, there's definitely more drama coming.
On November 2nd, Your Honor, is the date that me and Mr. Patrick had sex. And then on August 7th is the date that the twins were born. The doctor had said that the twins were conceived right around the 2nd of November, Your Honor.
Do you agree with those dates? They seem to add up.
No, Your Honor, I don't. I mean, it's a 5-day window between there.
Hold up. Now, Mr. Patrick's bringing up possible ADHD in his son as proof he's not the dad. Mr. Patrick's still not totally buying it, and we're all waiting to see what he'll say next.
What are those doubts?
I think he's ADHD or something like that. You know what I mean? He doesn't listen. He's rambunctious.
He's a little boy.
I understand
Mr.
he's
Patrick.
a little boy, and I hope he grows out of it someday. But I believe he's ADHD or
There's
something.
nothing wrong with
And
Larry.
so,
Doesn't run in my family.
How do you
Doesn't
know
run
that?
For 10 years, honey.
It doesn't matter. You don't know everything, every single thing about your family history.
Here's where the relationship goes full soap opera. With all this tension, the only thing that might help is the lie detector test. Yep, you read that right.
and so that's why, Mr. Patrick, you asked this court for a lie detector test because you don't believe Ms. Pence is being truthful with you. Why do you believe she wouldn't tell you the whole truth since she was so forthright?
I have no reason to hide anything
I just
at all,
feel
Mr.
like she's
Patrick.
hiding more than what
There's
she's
nothing
saying.
to hide.
And just like
That's
I've told her,
nothing.
if it comes to the fact that the kids aren't mine, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to leave.
The lie detector test results come in, and oh boy, they're a bombshell. Now, all eyes are on the paternity results, but the drama's already through the roof.
During the last 10 years of your relationship with Mr. Patrick, have you had sexual contact with any other man whom you admitted to cheating with? You said no. The lie detector determined you were being deceptive.
How is that?
Finally, the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Patrick, you are the father.
I told you that you was the father. I told you.